Congratulations and celebrations. Tell everyone that you're in love with me.
Marvellous. What a reception.
God, absolutely. It was so nice to be looking through that little montage there. How does it feel for you looking through?
Dreadful.
Oh, no. Why?
People say, oh, you haven't changed much. Well, I think I have.
Oh, well, in a wonderful way, I can tell you. 2018, you've still got the move.
No, but actually, I'm because of my age, you know, everybody thinks I'm 65, actually.
Yeah, I made a
because
mistake
I was
there.
born in the corner of Studio 2, Abbey Road. That's when I feel my life started. So I always tell people I'm not 80-something, I'm 65 years old. Oh, so, by the way, I think you said it was that I'd had hits in 7 decades. I've had a top 5 album in 8 decades, darling.
Wow. Delighted to stand corrected in that one.
Oh.
And a new album coming out in November, so hopefully there will be another one.
Oh,
Cliff
who
with
knows?
Strings, My Kind of Life.
You never know.
But this is the first day you've really talked about the new album, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's coming out fairly soon, but the record company had said, let's wait till something special happens, and I said, well, Loose Women is special. So here we are talking about an album that it's an interesting album in that the Warners wanted me to choose from the many records I've made, maybe 12 that I liked the best, and then we were going to use the vocals and put an orchestra beneath it. So it doesn't have the guitars and the usual drums and things like that, although some of them do. But the main thing for me was how would Living Dolls sound like as a jazz or Summer Holiday? And you know what? It's darn good. And I didn't have to record it. It was already recorded, but they put this stuff on it, and I'm thinking, oh, it might be interesting. It may not be a big hit, but if you have any of my albums, I do encourage you to buy it.
Oh, listen, like, I thought he was going to bring a few albums today. What did we get? Just the front cover? No CD or anything?
No, of course not. We only give the CDs away to people who buy it.
So how did you choose the tracks? I believe there's one very special one, which is something of a tribute to Olivia Newton-John, is that right?
Yes, I got a phone call. It's funny, this happened to a number of times. A phone call would come from Olivia's producer, and he'd say, well, this is happening. I'm thinking, I'm waiting. They said, would you do this with Olivia? Olivia called me and said, look, I'm doing this movie, and unfortunately, my co-star doesn't sing. And I'm going, yes. And, of course, she said, so would you come over and sing it with me? And I normally would say, please, send me the track. I can't record songs you can't record a song you don't like. But I didn't bother. I went across and we recorded it in the engineer's garage. So every now and then we'd have to stop while a truck went by. But all in all, Olivia and I sing well together. And it was a best duet, I think, because it suited the male voice and it suited the female voice. Quite often it's very difficult for a male to sing with a female because you've either got to go, or ah! And it's painful.
But your voice is blended very well.
Yeah,
they
but
were very good.
Probably, I guess that's just luck that it did blend. And I like to always say that Olivia came over with a friend of hers called Pat. They were Pat and Olivia, and they won a competition in Australia, and the prize was to come to England and sing on a big TV show. I think it was Des O'Connor or someone like that. I saw them. They looked fantastic. They were dancing around, and then I discovered my manager, Peter Gormley, managed them as well. And he's the one that said to me, you haven't got a backing group, what about the girls? I went, yes, please. And so we got to know each other very much because we toured all over Europe, in Japan and places like that. So for me to see Olivia rocket to fame in America made me very proud.
Yeah. But I want you to know that Cliff and I have spent the weekend together. We did. We spent the weekend together because we were in Kay's country, up in Edinburgh for the festival.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just had a great time.
Oh, it was wonderful.
You went to see the tattoo, I believe?
Ah, the tattoo. I've never seen the tattoo. I've seen something similar
Castle.
to it here in London. But I don't know who choreographs it. Did you? Some of it may have seen it. But when you get people drumming, and they've usually got something white on their hand, they go... But there's 100 of them doing it, and none of them are out of time.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It was stunning to see. I've loved it. Fantastic.
Cliff, you said there earlier, you know, that you consider yourself to have been born, you know, when your music career kind of took off. And, of course, you've got a memoir coming out as well, you know, a head full of music. But,
yes.
So what was the moment? Can you identify a moment that it just all started?
Oh, yeah.
For you?
I mean, I've got a little book. It's a book, we call it The Head Full of Music, because I feel most of us as singers live our lives with a head full of music. And I paid tribute to Elvis, and obviously the first time I ever heard him, the original Drifters, me, Terry Smart and Norma Mitham, we were still at school, and we were walking around in Waltham Cross in Hertfordshire, and this guy pulled up in a green Citroen. You know, it had a sweeping thing like it was a spacecraft. And the windows were open, the engine was running, and the radio was on. And we're looking at the car going, oh, we're going to have one of these one day. When suddenly we heard, since my baby left, I found a new place to dwell. And then the guy came, shut the window and drove off. So we had no idea who it was. And we didn't have phones in those days. We certainly couldn't afford cars. And it was Norman Mitham that came round and said, I know who it is. He had been listening to the American Forces Network from Germany. And he said, the song is called Heartbreak Hotel. And the singer is Elvis Presley. And we went, Elvis? Who got a name like Elvis? But anyway, that was the first time, and I think I write in the book, it's like I can remember it now. That's the time when I thought, I have to do this. Yeah. So we chased it.
Yeah.
And, you know, luck does come your way, but I think people in our industry, luck comes to all of us at some point, but you need to grab it by the throat.
Yeah.
We've all done that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I say luck has come by me, but you have to actually work at it still.
But there was Elvis's music, but there was also the way he moved, you know, which at that time, you know, was kind of groundbreaking.
Show everybody.
Oh, go on, you're your best friend of Come at the front. We need to see it down the front.
Yeah.
Oh, no, OK.
Yeah.
We're not going to get this very often.
All right. Honestly, I'm not coming on this show again. Unless they ask me.
And what about the lip?
Well, the lip, I can't do it anymore. My lips got all thin.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what that... Did you see that? There was something wives... the girl in it, the actress, had these lips that she'd had done that were like this. And she couldn't even put a cigarette in there. So I don't do things like that. But, yeah,
Modern life.
Yes, we wanted... If I had a picture taken and it was going like... I loved it. But it was Jack Good who did a TV show called Oh Boy. And he took me on the show because I had Move It released. And within 2 rehearsals, he said to me, get rid of your sideburns. And I went, sideburns? Took me years to grow these. And then he said, get rid of the guitar. He said, I don't want an impersonation of Elvis. I booked Cliff Richard. And he's the one that helped me stop wiggling around too much and using the body and the eyes. And he could tell me, one of the lyrics, he said, on that lyric, I want you to turn, grab your shoulder, and look straight up into the... Well, you know, people started screaming, and I loved it.
Yeah. Well, and that's when you developed your own style.